The crypto community is on high alert as a bipartisan group of policymakers clash with the Biden administration over crypto tax provisions buried deep in a $1 trillion infrastructure bill before the Senate. Senators Ron Wyden, Pat Toomey, and Cynthia Lummis want to narrow the definition of a broker to ensure people not traditionally thought of as brokers are subject to enhanced reporting requirements. And joining us now to discuss is Kristin Smith, the executive director at the Blockchain Association, a lobbying group. Welcome, Kristin. So the Biden administration wants to maintain a broader definition of broker, from what I understand, to generate a projected $28 billion in revenue from crypto investors. And there's this Wyden, Toomey, Lummis amendment that's been proposed. What's that all about?
Yeah, so this amendment aims to keep the miners, the stakers, the software developers, other sort of decentralized players that don't have access to the customer information that would be needed for information reporting out of this amendment, and focus it on the traditional cryptocurrency exchanges who do have access to this kind of information. And not only do they have access to it, but they want to provide meaningful reports to their customers at the end of the year to help them pay their taxes. So this really focuses it on the area that we believe is best suited to provide this type of reporting. Now, what we're hearing this morning is that this amendment may be voted on the Senate floor as soon as today, and the threshold in order to win the amendment vote is 60 of the 100 senators. So this is a very high bar. So far, with other amendments, we've only seen technical ones get enough support to pass and be added to this. So it's incredibly important that anyone who wants to help in the cryptocurrency call their senators today, reach out to us and help get onto this sign-on letter if you're an organization, or if you have access to a large platform and a large user base. We need to get the word out that folks need to call their senators.
Kristin, crypto is still, relatively speaking, a small sector of in the entire economy. Why should the average Joe care about heavy reporting requirements being placed on crypto companies and crypto organizations? Everyone else feels like they have to do it too. Why should crypto get off so easy?
Well, the reason is, and we're not saying that crypto exchanges like Coinbase or Kraken or Binance US should not have these types of reporting requirements. Everyone agrees that that's good. The problem is the definition was drafted very hastily, and it's incredibly broad. And so if you're a Bitcoin miner processing transactions and adding blocks to the Bitcoin blockchain, you don't know the names of the people who own the Bitcoin that is being the transactions that are being added to the ledger. I mean, that just doesn't simply work because this type of reporting requires that you have a name, an address, a social security number. And if you are, in the traditional world, if you are, somebody who is the security guard that's taking money from one bank to another bank, you don't have those type of reporting requirements, even though you might be aiding in a transaction. So similarly, we think these types of players are not the ones that should be participating in this. And quite frankly, imposing any of these obligations would be a huge, huge invasion into personal financial privacy of individuals who are trying to transact using blockchains on a peer-to-peer basis.
One argument people make is that that if these requirements come into play, miners would leave. China didn't seem to care if that happened there, and people are making the national security argument. So if China doesn't care about miners leaving from a national security argument, why should the U.S. care? And what's the
U.S. should care because. Yeah, U.S. miners are very green, right? They use renewable energy for mining. So there's that argument. But also, we want the U.S. to play a role in the crypto ecosystem going forward. If all of the software developers and the miners and the investors and the people who are participating in the crypto ecosystem can't be in compliance with the laws, they're either going to be forced to leave or forced to shut down or just continuing to operate in violation of the law, which no good actor wants to do that. And so it's really important that we get this fixed. And so I want to reiterate, if you are an individual, there's a great organization called Fight for the Future that has propped up a very easy way to call your senator If you go to fightforthefuture.org/actors, there will be a link there where you can weigh in with your senator. It's really important to call today because, as I said earlier, there's a very, very good chance that this vote happens sometime today. It could be pushed till sometime this weekend, but we need to prepare and act as if this is going to be a live vote on the Senate floor today.
So if the issue is just about, the U.S. is clearly trying to attract minors, as you said, for various reasons. We have states like Texas and Florida, like really kind of actively competing for them. But obviously, like, minors are going to have to be taxed in some way if they become a major economic force. So what's the fix here? I mean, it seems like clearly classifying them as a broker isn't the right path, but isn't there just some other form that they could fill out? I mean, how they're not going to be exempt from taxes.
And be clear that the language right now is about information reporting. So this is about businesses having to file forms about their customers to the IRS, and then also providing that information to the customers. If you're a mining business in the U.S., you're subject to the same taxes of any business, right? There aren't necessarily, you don't get taxed. You shouldn't have to pay extra taxes, but you pay income taxes based off of what you do, and any other, associated real estate taxes or taxes that any business has, right? Like, this isn't treating crypto businesses any differently, but it is asking that the regulations be written in a way where if you are a broker and you have customers and there's a contractual relationship between the broker and the customer, that we write new regulations in order to give direction to how those companies can report effectively. But what we can't have is a software developer who, because they wrote software that allows people to transact on a peer-to-peer basis, to have to then go and figure out everyone using their software, ask for their social security number and home address and name, and report that to the IRS. That's just not feasible. That's not information that they collect in the normal course of business. It doesn't make sense for these types of entities to do that. And there seems to be an information gap between the White House and Senator Wyden and Lummis and Toomey, who are pushing this bipartisan amendment, that realize it's not appropriate to ask these types of individuals and entities to spy on each other, collect that information, and report it to the government. That's just not how information tax reporting has worked in the traditional financial services world, and it's not how it should work in the cryptocurrency world.
And I just kind of want to double down on Lawrence's question, just about okay, so mining leaves the U.S. and who cares? I mean, I think that's just something that's a hard point to articulate to the general public, right? I mean, I think crypto advocates say okay, well, we don't want to be left out of this phenomenon, but I mean, again, why is mining so important for the United States? I mean, why should the average person care if this industry leaves? Because that's the argument the crypto industry is making, and I don't think the general public necessarily sees that as a problem.
Well, yeah, as I mentioned before, there's issues with climate, there's issues with jobs, but we also want to have a strong Bitcoin network where it is decentralized and there are participants and miners all around the globe, right, for redundancy purposes. And, the U.S. has always been the leader in financial services. The U.S. has always been a leader in technology. And looking forward, whether it's Bitcoin mining or other blockchains, we think this is going to be the foundation of both, the internet and financial services. And, as a proud American, I want this industry to be leading here in the U.S. and not leaving. I mean, this is going to be the foundation of so many jobs, so much economic activity. The U.S. should play a leading role in this and not discourage the innovation here in the United States.